I'd like to introduce Emily Schramm, and she's going to discuss Body
by Butter.
by Butter. It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, Body by Butter. I have to be honest, it originally was bacon and skinny jeans when I started my blog about 4 years ago. This is when I followed Jimmy. This is how I found Jimmy when I first became paleo. And then I squatted too much, and so I had to change the name. Skinny jeans did not work anymore. So bacon and skinny jeans turned to Body by Butter. I just wanted to tell a little bit about myself and who I am, because it's kind of relevant to just my presentation. And I know so many of you, and I've been able to watch so many of you guys present, and I'm just in love with what you guys are doing. I started my I don't even know if I could say my career, but my story, I was 20 years old and I was on a reality television show, which kind of sometimes gives judgment. I feel like the guy that said he had a burrito for breakfast, when people like, oh, reality TV. But it was a really great thing for me because what it did is I'm not a fan of reality TV at all. It was kind of an accident, but what it did is it made me face the reality that I was not happy, I was unhealthy, and I had to feel, we all have those feelings, but then you have to watch it. So it was like a very good learning experience. And so when I first finished my reality TV show, I was like, I have to get out of here. So I ended up moving to Colorado, and Keystone, Colorado, just down the road. I became a snowboard bunny, and I worked at Starbucks. I did the snowboard thing, and I was not healthy. If you guys know kind of small town mountain towns, they drink a lot, they smoke a lot. It's just not necessarily, there's the very extreme skiers, I believe, Angela, yes, so there's the really healthy people, and then there's those workers that aren't so healthy. So I was one of those, and I knew that it was just, I was unhappy, and it was either I'm always gonna not like what I look in the mirror, or I'm gonna do something about it. So got into the gym, I changed my body composition by the typical 1,400 calorie diet and avoiding all fats. And I still, even though I felt better because I was doing something, there were still some missing pieces. I still had some serious acne issues. I still had chronic stomach pains, and I still dealt with depression. So that's kind of the start of my story. And when I found the gym, I knew that becoming a personal trainer I never would have said that 5, even 10 years ago, but I loved it. It was just something that fit really well. I knew that I could teach people how to be a better version of themselves. So I moved to Denver. I became a personal trainer, and that is where I found CrossFit. And CrossFit not only changed my life because I love lifting things over my head, but it taught me paleo. And so with paleo, it was finally that missing piece where I knew if I could eat bacon and get rid of acne and get rid of stomach issues and finally get rid of this mental fog that I had my whole life, like that, who wouldn't want to try that? Like it's mind-blowing that more people aren't eating bacon. So anyway, I became 100% paleo. I dove all in. I started my own business, and that's kind of where I am today. So starting off, as a personal trainer, this is kind of the things that I see. I am pretty heavy in social media. I'm on Periscope, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I get lots of questions from all over. I recently worked with Women's Health Magazine. I did my first fitness DVD with them, and so it was a little bit mind-blowing for them to have somebody on the cover that not only had traps, but had that drank a lot of butter in their coffee, and it was crazy. So these are the questions I get, and I just want to kind of, most of you guys know these things, but it's just a really great thing to bring together and show you guys 5 steps how you can build muscle and get strong on a high-fat diet. So the first thing, and this is just the personal training coming out of me because I have to say this, especially coming out of Women's Health Magazine, this is just really frustrating that tone does not exist, and that in order to build muscle, you have to lift weights. And not only emotionally is it fantastic, if you haven't lifted a barbell overhead, even if it's 5 pounds, that feeling, if you guys have ever seen the Power Pose TED Talk, that feeling of really reaching up and that confidence it gives you, especially women, no matter your age, no matter your ability, lifting weights can completely change your life. And not only that, you can't lose body fat percentage, or you can't lose body fat in certain areas. It's a full body thing. And so when you strength train, you get more muscle, and you lose more fat. I love Matrix. Thank you for liking that. So there is no such thing as toning, and I just want to get that across. So that's my personal trainer coming out of me. So the second piece. So last year, I've been a personal trainer for a while, and I've had clients come to me and I'm watching their diet and they're on a very low fat diet or a low carb diet, they're on a high fat diet, and they're doing the workouts I'm giving them, I'm playing around with different types, and something's still not quite right. And so this is what led me into nutritional therapy. So I became a nutritional therapy practitioner because I was very frustrated about my knowledge at how to help people, that there's some deeper issues going on. And it's kind of what he just addressed. The stress thing is a big one. So where are your cortisol levels? And I see two different types. I see, it could be dependent on your sleep, it could be on your lifestyle, it could be your job. But if your cortisol levels are too high, so we have a hypercortisol kind of state, which a lot of my women clients do, what happens is cortisol is catabolic, so you can't build muscle. And so it's a very hard thing. You're trying to get someone to build muscle and giving them workouts, but then the workouts are more stressful on them, and then it causes even more issues with building muscle. So that's one spectrum. So we have hypercortisol, and then we have hypocortisol, which I'm seeing quite a bit of. And hypocortisol is just that low cortisol irregularity that is affecting not just your mood and your energy and the way you're functioning from a day-to-day life, but your hormones. And so that's when it's preventing muscle gain and growth from pulling from DHEA, preventing you from growing more muscle because you don't have the hormones available. So those are two things. And then the most important thing that I'm seeing more and more, and it's exactly what he said in the last presentation, is that if you have not just high cortisol, if you have cortisol issues, you have to stabilize blood sugar. And so blood sugar, how do we do that? And you guys know, eat more fat. So that is why paleo is so fantastic. Ketosis is so fantastic because we're stabilizing our energy throughout the day. We're stopping the insulin ups and downs. We're finally getting our adrenals, which produce cortisol, to calm down because we are making enough energy through the fat that we're eating. And so that's just kind of my thoughts when I'm looking at my clients, kind of figuring out, okay, where are you? If they're brand new, they're most likely hypoglycemic or insulin resistant, sometimes even hyperglycemic. So finding out what their blood sugar pattern is, because those are big things that even though clients or your athletes, whatever you do, if you're a trainer, if you are seeing people constantly trying the same things, even if they're eating a higher fat diet, going back to the basics and finding out is even if a higher fat diet is working for you, maybe their body isn't fat adapting, and what can I do to support that? And I have found, this is kind of a side note, but with insulin resistance, I don't know if you guys know this, but berberine has been really fantastic for insulin resistance. So please suggest that for as many people as you can, because it's very powerful how fast it can help insulin sensitivity. Eating enough. So most of you guys know this, but this is just another personal trainer. I'll go back to being a personal trainer, is muscles do not build themselves. And as someone that was on a 1,200, 1,400 calorie diet, it's miserable and it's just frustrating because you see most of my clients come from online. I run this 21-day superhero challenge, and I have about 3,000 people at a time, all online, doing this 21-day challenge where I send them videos, and it's amazing, but most of them just are emailing me like, I feel so fatigued, I don't think high fat's for me. And sometimes there's so many more issues going on with that situation, but all of them are just so accustomed to eating 1,200 calories, and they are exhausted, and they're running themselves into a wall and then working out on top of that. And it's just a disaster for my clients. It's just a really bad thing when they're first starting out. And so I found this study, and I thought it was just interesting to share. So if you guys ever want to share this, it's a great example. But caloric restriction increases cortisol levels. So going back to the last slide, that there was two groups of women. One group, 1,200 calories, but they didn't know it, but they were put on it for 3 months. The other group, 1,200 calories, but they did know it, and they had to count, and they had to be very precise about the 1,200 calories. And then they did salivary hormone levels for cortisol after the 3 months, before and after. And both groups had increased cortisol, because not only was it stressful to count the calories and think about the calories, it's very mentally taxing on a human to do that. We are not meant to do that. But it's also very, if you don't even know it, getting that low in calorie can be very harmful for the body. I thought that was just a great example. And this is where I'm going to differ from some of you guys, and that's why I'm happy I'm here. I love learning about different things. If your clients or if you yourself are not dealing with any blood sugar issues, so you're not hypoglycemic, you're not getting hangry, you're not getting shaky, you're not insulin resistant, where you're not getting tired after meals, or you're not hyperglycemic, of course, that timing my carbs appropriately has been very, very great for me as a CrossFit athlete. I have done very, very low carb, I just think it's important to play around with your carbohydrate tolerance, and it's going to be very unique to every single person. And so what I found, my girlfriend is a CrossFit Games athlete, so she's like on the TV lifting the big old weights, and she does really good now that her blood sugar has been regulated. She does really well with post-workout, making most of her carbs that meal, and it's been fantastic for her second session, which is usually about 3 hours later. But for maintenance clients, adding just a little carbohydrate with their protein, whether that's coconut water in a protein shake, or you can do this through food as well. I love steak and potatoes after I work out. But knowing that if it is somebody with insulin resistance, or if it is someone that is getting still tired after they have that protein shake or after they have that carbohydrate, that's a sign of health. Is if you eat something, do you feel energized? Because we don't want that. And if you eat something, do you feel tired? Because we absolutely do not want that. And based off of that, that can kind of determine your carbohydrate tolerance. And so for some people, it takes a while to even enter carbs, and maybe carbs will never enter their life, even as a CrossFit athlete. But for some people, especially people that are doing high intense 2-a-days, I have found that a little bit more carbohydrate has been really helpful for that second session. But I am very open to all questions and thoughts, so if you want to attack this, come meet me and tell me, because I'm all ears for new ideas and things like that. So that is my 5 steps. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was great. It's so great to be here. I just love that you guys are all coming together and doing what you're doing. So keep doing it.